The Buddha sat beneath the banyan tree, his presence radiating peace amidst the gathering disciples encircling him in silent devotion. Ananda, his closest follower, knelt and spoke, "Master, I seek wisdom on enduring the sting of hurtful words from others." The Buddha's serene gaze met Ananda's troubled eyes, his voice gentle yet firm. "Ananda, listen closely to this teaching. Hurtful words, like arrows, pierce the soul only when we grasp them tightly and accept them as our truth. Imagine a man struck by a poisoned arrow. Would he demand answers before removing it to tend his wound?" Ananda hesitated, his thoughts swirling. "No, Master, the wound must be addressed before any questions of the arrow's origin are entertained." The Buddha nodded, his expression unchanging. "Thus it is with words. They harm only when we let them dwell within us. Do not seek the source or intent behind the words. Let them fall away as leaves carried by the wind." The disciples murmured among themselves, the lesson settling like dew upon their hearts, its weight both simple and profound. The Buddha's hand extended to a leaf resting upon the earth, lifting it gently for all to see. "Observe this leaf, untroubled by the wind's movements, the rain's force, or the heat of the sun above. It yields without resistance, remaining whole. To resist external forces invites unnecessary suffering, binding one to the illusion of control." Ananda watched the leaf's graceful surrender to nature, his mind reflecting on his own struggles with harsh words and opinions. The Buddha placed the leaf back on the ground, its journey unbroken, a testament to unwavering acceptance and freedom. To flow with the tides of life is not weakness. It is wisdom, an understanding that suffering comes from resistance, not truth. Another disciple, his face shadowed by doubt, spoke hesitantly, "Master, does ignoring these words not allow falsehoods to spread?" The Buddha's voice carried patience, unhurried in its tone. "Truth is unshaken by lies, like a mountain enduring storms without yielding its foundation. Listen not only to words but to actions. Observe not just speech but the motives and patterns of behavior." Buddha replied, "Words may deceive, but actions reveal the truth. For deeds are mirrors reflecting the intentions rooted within a person's heart." He added, "Imagine a lamp in the darkness. It does not argue with shadows. It simply shines, dispelling ignorance with its light." The disciple bowed his head, his doubts fading as the Buddha's teachings illuminated his understanding like a lamp igniting the night. Another asked, "Master, how does one learn to practice such non-reaction when emotions surge uncontrollably within?" The Buddha's answer unfolded like the petals of a lotus. The mind, like water, can be calm or turbulent depending on its focus. To calm the mind, meditate. In stillness, you learn to observe thoughts without clinging, letting them pass like clouds in the sky. Each time you choose silence over reaction, you strengthen the roots of peace within yourself, grounding you against life's winds. The disciples sat quietly, their breath aligning with the tranquility surrounding their teacher, the banyan tree whispering its agreement. A young boy, new to the teachings, whispered, "Master, will words ever stop hurting? Or must one always struggle against their power?" The Buddha smiled, his eyes filled with compassion. "Words cannot harm if you release the need to assign them meaning beyond their fleeting sound. Think of a stream. Stones may fall into its waters, yet the current continues undeterred, flowing freely towards its destination. Your journey, too, must continue unhindered by the obstacles others create. Their words are merely stones. Let them sink." The boy nodded, his innocence blossoming into understanding, his heart lighter than the burdens he had carried. The sun dipped below the horizon, its light merging with the wisdom imparted under the banyan tree's protective canopy. The Buddha rose, addressing his disciples one last time before departing. "This practice is not a single act. It is a way of living. Non-reaction is the ultimate freedom. A liberation from the grip of others' opinions and the turmoil they attempt to create. As the poisoned arrow is removed swiftly, so must you free yourself from the poison of others' harmful words. The disciples stood and bowed deeply, their hearts resonating with the teachings. Prepared to face life's storms with newfound resolve, the Buddha disappeared into the night, his figure blending with the silence, leaving behind wisdom that would echo for generations. Another day, the Buddha strolled with his disciples along the riverbank, the water reflecting the morning sun's golden warmth. The group paused, admiring the gentle current, when the Buddha noticed a drifting boat, empty and unmoored. Turning to his disciples, he asked, "What happens when this empty boat collides with another vessel on the river's path?" The disciples exchanged glances, one finally replying, "Master, there would be no anger, for the boat is empty and lifeless." The Buddha nodded, a serene smile gracing his face. "Indeed, there can be no quarrel with an empty, aimless vessel. But now consider this," the Buddha continued. "What if a reckless person were steering the boat and caused the collision?" The disciples murmured among themselves, uncertain how to respond, their expressions betraying thoughts of frustration at such carelessness. The Buddha's voice rose softly above the murmurs. "In that case, would anger not arise from the belief of intentional harm?" One disciple answered hesitantly, "Yes, Master, the presence of another person might provoke anger or a sense of wrongdoing." "Ah," the Buddha said, "and yet the source of anger is not the person, but the belief in malicious intent. The truth is, whether the boat is empty or guided, our reaction stems from within, not from the external cause." The disciples listened intently, the flowing river before them echoing the depth of their teacher's wisdom. The Buddha gestured toward the drifting boat. "Imagine, for a moment, that you are this empty vessel upon the river of life. If others crash into you with harsh words or actions, you remain undisturbed, for you carry no ego to bruise. The empty boat does not take offense. It does not retaliate, it simply exists, allowing life's currents to guide it." A young disciple, perplexed, asked, "Master, how can one become like the empty boat, free of ego and unaffected by insult?" The Buddha's gaze softened, his voice like the river's gentle current. "Through understanding, mindfulness, and the practice of non-attachment, the ego clings to identity and labels, defining itself through the praise and criticism of others," he explained patiently. "When you release this attachment, when you no longer see yourself as separate, the opinions of others lose their grip." The disciple nodded, though his eyes still reflected uncertainty, the concept of releasing ego as elusive as the flowing water. Another disciple spoke, "Master, does the empty boat not risk becoming passive, drifting aimlessly without purpose or direction in life?" The Buddha's smile deepened, his tone unwavering. "The empty boat is not purposeless. It moves with intention but without the burden of resistance. To navigate life's river is not to be passive, but to act without attachment, without the chains of pride or fear. An empty boat does not lose its essence. It remains free, unburdened by the cargo of others' judgments or actions." The disciples absorbed this, their minds turning like the wheels of a cart, the analogy resonating with their own experiences. The Buddha turned his gaze back to the river, his eyes reflecting its calm surface, as though seeing beyond its depths. "Remember, the river flows regardless of obstacles. Stones may fall, storms may come, but it continues its journey undeterred. Likewise, let your life flow like the river, unaffected by external forces, unshaken by the perceptions of others." An elder disciple, his face marked by years of contemplation, spoke softly, "Master, how does one remain mindful in the face of provocation?" The Buddha responded, his voice steady. Mindfulness is the anchor that steadies the vessel, keeping it from drifting uncontrollably in turbulent waters. Each moment of awareness is a choice to observe rather than react, to pause rather than retaliate. Through meditation and self-reflection, you cultivate the strength to remain present, untangled by the storms of anger or pride. The disciples closed their eyes, envisioning themselves as empty vessels, their burdens lightened by the Buddha's profound words. The sun climbed higher, its rays dancing upon the water, the river whispering its ancient song of continuity and acceptance. A child from a nearby village approached, his laughter mingling with the sound of the current, his innocence untainted by life's struggles. The Buddha watched the child, his face illuminated with compassion. Observe the child. Does he hold grudges? Does he cling to pride? Number. Master, a disciple replied. The child's heart is pure, unclouded by the complexities of adult perceptions and judgments. Exactly, the Buddha said. To live as the empty boat is to regain the purity of a child's open, unbiased heart. It is to move through life with curiosity and acceptance, free from the heavy anchors of ego and resistance. The child dipped his hand into the water, marveling at the ripples, as though he too understood the lesson unfolding. The Buddha turned back to his disciples, his voice filled with quiet authority. This practice is neither easy nor instantaneous. It requires patience, self-compassion, and the willingness to confront the illusions that bind us to suffering and conflict. As the river carves its path through rock, so too must you carve your path through ego and attachment. The disciples bowed in reverence, their hearts filled with gratitude, their spirits eager to embody the teachings of their enlightened guide. The Buddha walked on, his figure merging with the landscape, leaving behind a river of wisdom flowing within his followers' minds. Another day, the Buddha sat beneath a vast, ancient tree, its roots spreading deeply into the earth like silent wisdom. A group of disciples gathered around him, their faces etched with concern, their minds heavy with the weight of slanderous gossip. One young man spoke first, his voice trembling. Master, they speak falsely of me in the village. My name is tarnished unjustly. The Buddha looked at him, his eyes serene, his presence steady as the unmoving tree sheltering them. Tell me, the Buddha asked gently, does the tree tremble when the winds blow, whispering through its branches or shaking its leaves? The young man shook his head, confusion mingling with curiosity. No, Master, the tree stands firm, deeply rooted, unaffected by the wind. The Buddha nodded, his expression calm. So too must you root yourself deeply, unmoved by the opinions and falsehoods of others. The wind will come and go, strong or weak, but it cannot uproot what is grounded in understanding and truth. The disciples exchanged thoughtful glances, the lesson beginning to take root in their own minds, like seeds seeking fertile soil. Another disciple spoke, her voice filled with doubt. Master, how do we build such deep roots when slander feels like a constant storm? The Buddha extended his hand, gesturing to the tree above them. This tree did not grow overnight. Its strength comes from time and patience. Each moment of mindfulness, each act of compassion and wisdom, strengthens your roots, anchoring you against life's unpredictable storms. Do not expect instant transformation. Like the tree, allow yourself to grow steadily, one small step at a time. Awareness is not the absence of trust. It is the foundation upon which true trust and meaningful connections are built. Buddha emphasized. The disciples bowed their heads, inspired by the wisdom shared, determined to integrate the teachings into their lives and relationships. The Buddha closed his eyes briefly, as though listening to the whispers of the earth itself. Before speaking, truth requires no defense, he said firmly, for it stands unshaken. like the tree that endures without concern for passing winds. Those who spread lies will tire eventually, for deceit is a burden that weighs heavily on its creator. Responding to falsehoods gives them power. Your silence, like the trees, speaks louder than any words could convey. The disciples fell silent themselves, contemplating the profound simplicity of this teaching, their doubts beginning to dissolve like morning mist. The Buddha continued, his voice carrying the stillness of the moment. Consider this tree again. Does it question the wind's purpose? Number. Master, a disciple answered. It remains as it is, allowing the wind to pass without resistance or judgment. Exactly, the Buddha said, his voice soft but unwavering. So too should you release the need to question others' intentions. Their actions are reflections of their own struggles, not of your worth or truth. Let them pass. Like the wind, a disciple who had remained silent now spoke, his tone earnest. Master, is it possible to truly remain unshaken by others? The Buddha turned to him with a gentle smile. It is not only possible but necessary, for inner peace depends upon it. To be unshaken is not to be indifferent. It is to see clearly, to understand without clinging or aversion. Imagine yourself as the tree, firmly rooted, yet flexible enough to sway with the winds without breaking. It is this balance, strength and adaptability, that allows you to endure without losing yourself or your purpose. The disciple nodded, his expression one of quiet determination, as though resolved to become as steadfast as the tree. The Buddha's attention shifted to the youngest among them, a child sitting at the edge of the group, observing in silence. The child looked up, meeting the Buddha's gaze, and asked innocently, Master, what if the tree is cut down? The Buddha's smile deepened, his eyes sparkling with the child's pure curiosity. Even then, the tree's roots remain in the earth. The roots give life to new growth, teaching us that even when we are hurt, we can begin again with strength. The child nodded, his simple understanding bringing a lightness to the moment, a reminder of resilience in its most natural form. The Buddha stood, his movement as unhurried and grounded as his teachings, and addressed his disciples one final time. Remember this tree. Each of you has the capacity to grow roots so deep that no storm can unearth you. Do not fear the winds of others' opinions or actions. They are temporary, fleeting, unable to touch your true essence. As the tree provides shelter and shade without asking, so too should you give to the world without expectation. Live rooted in compassion, anchored in truth, and unshaken by the transient forces that cannot define you. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude, their resolve to embody the teachings stronger than ever before. The Buddha walked away, his figure blending with the grove, his steps as timeless as the wisdom he had imparted. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.